This is First News on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
Where news breaks first. News Radio 1290 WNBF. Here's Bob Joseph.
Good morning. It'll be partly sunny today, high 39. Things will get interesting tonight with a storm coming into the area. The system late tonight into tomorrow will bring another round of snow changing to rain. Along with strong winds, rainfall may lead to localized flooding. A coastal storm next week could bring snow to the region Tuesday through Wednesday. The National Weather Service has issued a wind advisory that'll be in effect from 7 tonight until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 55 miles an hour are expected. The gusty winds could blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs could be blown down and a few power outages are possible. The strongest winds will be in areas of higher terrain and along north and west facing slopes. A town justice in Broome County could be removed from office for allegedly making inappropriate sexual comments and other serious misconduct. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct has just announced that it's determined Randy Hall, a town of Dickinson judge, should be removed. The determination said Hall had sexually harassed another town judge and court staff. He also was said to have given the impression he had prejudged the guilt of defendants and posted inappropriate comment on his public Facebook page. The 68-year-old Hall, who lives in Port Dickinson, told WNBF News that a good portion of the allegations against him were bald-faced lies. He maintained his co-judge and the court clerks fabricated some of the allegations. He characterized it as a he said, she said situation. Hall said the case was like a witch hunt, similar to what former President Donald Trump has experienced. The Judicial Conduct Panel found that Hall made crude, sexually charged comments to his co-judge and court clerks, including an inappropriate joke involving a farmer, marijuana, and sexual intercourse with a pig. When we asked him about that, Hall denied the accusation. He said, "I don't even know a joke regarding a pig." Hall has served as town justice since 2022. His current term expires at the end of next year. He has 30 days to request a review of the commission's recommendation by the State Court of Appeals. He said he hasn't decided whether he'll accept the decision or seek a review. Demolition crews have removed a stone chapel building donated by businessman George F. Johnson and his wife more than 100 years ago. Chapel is located near the entrance of Calvary Cemetery on Harry L. Drive in Johnson City. Cemetery operations manager Randy Ramey said it'd been more than 25 years since services were held in that chapel. Ramey said the structure, which was built in 1923, had fallen into disrepair. He said the chapel would have needed a significant amount of work if it remained in place. He said the necessary repairs could have cost nearly $1 million. The cemetery board approved the demolition after it determined it really wasn't feasible to keep the chapel. Ramey said the altar, woodwork, and stained glass windows were removed from the building last week. Workers from LCP Group of Vestal also say the cornerstone and the 3 crosses which were on the roof of the chapel, the items salvaged from the chapel, will be repurposed. Ramey said a respectful tribute to the chapel will be erected at the site where it stood for over a century. Federal prosecutors today are expected to provide an update in the legal case against a Conklin man who has admitted killing 10 black people in a racist shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo. The Justice Department has called relatives of the victims to federal court today ahead of a previously scheduled status conference. The families have been waiting to hear whether prosecutors would seek the death penalty against 20-year-old Peyton Gendron. He's been awaiting trial on federal hate crimes and weapons charges. Gendron already is serving multiple life sentences with no chance of parole after pleading guilty to state charges of murder and domestic terrorism motivated by hate. The charges are related to the May 14th, 2022 attack at a Tops supermarket in Buffalo. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service. Partly sunny today, high 39. A wind advisory will be in effect for tonight into early tomorrow morning. Winds could gust up to 55 miles an hour. Rain and snow tonight, becoming all rain after midnight. There will also be some patchy fog, low 35. Cloudy tomorrow, a chance of showers. The temperatures will fall to about 32 by late in the day. The outlook for Sunday, mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers, high 27. And for Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, partly sunny, high 23. Right now, it's 32. In downtown Binghamton, it's 6:09. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF News.
From the Galt Auto Studios, this is WNBF News Radio AM 1290. Also available at 92.1 FM. We're still saving the Southern Tier money at Galt Toyota.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
6:10. Good morning. I'm Bob Joseph. You're listening to First News Binghamton. Don Morgan has been granted another day off because we looked back on his service during 2023 and said he worked hard. He deserves a week off. Actually, he worked so hard, he deserves a month off. I don't think that's feasible, but anyway, he is off this morning. I'm here till 9 with your news and weather and sports information, breaking news, whatever might pop up between now and 9. We'll do our best to report to you. Also later today on WNBF, the Red Eye guys, Red Eye Radio will be on from 9 to 10, and then I will make a triumphant return from 10 to noon to host Binghamton Now as we continue to celebrate 12 years of service to the community. We're always glad to talk with you every weekday morning with Binghamton Now. It's a program that brings you local topics, local guests, and most importantly, local callers. So we appreciate your contributions, your thoughts every day. Don't be bashful. All you have to do is punch in those numbers, call in. Before you know it, you'll be on the air talking to a real person, and talking to friends and neighbors around the Binghamton area and potentially around the United States and even worldwide, because people stay connected with our station using the free WNBF app. Or if you don't want to use the app, maybe you're a traditionalist and you want to hear us on the radio, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. No matter the platform, we're here for you 7 days a week. WNBF. Now, coming up on First News Binghamton, look at sports. Also, we'll have some money news from Jim Ryan at 6:20, Dr. Sanjay Gupta at 6:23, with some advice about eating healthy. Don't blow it. Don't blow it with some sort of snack. Eat healthy during the day and finish your day off with a pint of ice cream that has 1 billion calories. That's not how it's supposed to work. Dr. Sanjay Gupta will explain the best way to eat healthy coming up just a few minutes here on WNBF at 6:13.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
6:15, it's time for sports here on First News Binghamton. Last night in Smithfield, Rhode Island, Bryant used a 33-9 first-half run to build a 19-point halftime cushion, and the Bulldogs held off Binghamton, the men's basketball team, in the Bearcats conference opener. Down as many as 24 points in the second half, BU used a 20-7 run to get back in the game midway through the final half. Binghamton then scored 15 points in a frantic final 2 minutes to pull within 6 points before coming up just short. Bryant made just enough free throws down the stretch, and the Bearcats were hurt by their own struggles at the charity stripe in the game, 18 of 29. Head coach Lavelle Sanders said we couldn't stop them in transition. They took advantage of our turnovers in the first half. So the final was 77-69. Bryant prevailing in that game in Rhode Island. Binghamton will finish up the 2-game road trip tomorrow afternoon at Albany. Vestal, a day game. The women's basketball team was defeated by Bryant 62-51. Mariona Planis Fortuny finished with 21 points and 12 rebounds, while Mia Mancini added 15 points, powering Bryant to a 62-51 win over Binghamton. The game was held at the Events Center Thursday morning. A lot of kids on hand. The contest marked the Bearcats' first ever Beyond the Classroom Youth Day. It attracted a program attendance record of 3,429 fans. Binghamton will conclude its 3-game homestand against Albany tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, at the Events Center. The previous Binghamton women's basketball home attendance record of 3,263 fans came against Vermont, and that was back on February 11th, 2011. So that was a big crowd on hand for the BU women in Vestal. Elsewhere in the world of sports, taking a look at NBA action last night. Nets lost to Cleveland, 111-102. The Knicks were defeated by Dallas, 128-124. Some hockey action. NHL play in Buffalo last night. And the Sabres beat the Senators 5-3. And in Manhattan, the Islanders defeated the Maple Leafs 4-3 in overtime. In baseball, a familiar face, Pete Alonso, and the Mets have avoided salary arbitration by agreeing to a $20.5 million one-year contract. A deal came on a deadline day around Major League Baseball when arbitration-eligible players and their teams formally swapped salary proposals. Alonso and the Mets settled before the deadline. The slugging first baseman had a $14.5 million salary last year when he batted .217 with 46 home runs. He can become a free agent after next season. New York also agreed to one-year deals with outfielder Tyrone Taylor and pitchers Adrian Hauser, Drew Smith, David Peterson, and Joey Lucchesi. Reliever Phil Bickford asked for $900,000, and the Mets offered $815,000. It's the latest in sports from News Radio, WNBF News Time, 6:19. Friday morning, this is First News Binghamton. Let's get some money news now from ABC's Jim Ryan.
New numbers showing hotter than expected inflation and labor market strength had little effect on stocks Thursday. The Dow Jones rose about 15 points yesterday to close at 37,711, still enough for a new record high. The S&P and NASDAQ composite finished the day essentially flat. Regulators' approval of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds had investors jumping into cryptocurrencies. ETFs saw $4.6 billion worth of business shares trade hands Thursday. Vanguard, the largest mutual fund provider, says it has no plans to make ETFs available to brokerage clients. Some executives, though, expect the items to pave the way for more innovative crypto exchanges like spot Ether products. Oil prices rose after Britain and the United States carried out military strikes against targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen yesterday. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 2.4% to $73.75 per barrel. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And, of course, we'll have more business news throughout the day right here on WNBF. Coming up in a minute, Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
News Radio 1290.
life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
When it comes to eating healthy, you can do really well all day long and then totally blow it in just one snack. In fact, according to a new study, which was a collaboration between researchers in the United States and Europe, 1 in 4 people who eat healthy meals end up blowing it on snacks. Now, eating unhealthy snacks was linked with higher BMI, higher visceral fat mass, higher triglyceride levels, all of which are then associated with metabolic disease, such as stroke, cardiovascular disease, obesity. People who ate their snacks late at night tended to eat foods that were higher in fat and sugar. A nutritionist we talked to said you should always carry some healthy snacks with you when you're on the go, because it's in those moments when you get so hangry that you'll reach for those unhealthy snacks, and that effectively can undo all the hard work that you've already done. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PARK for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PARK for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PARK.
And we bring you Dr. Sanjay Gupta every weekday morning right here on WNBF's First News Binghamton. Coming up later this hour, a tech report, the Friday Tech Update from Kim Commando. You won't believe what Canadian authorities have done. They were trying to, some people in Canada were trying to fight porch pirates, but the Canadian government now has done something that's, we'll just say it's interesting. Kim Commando will explain that. You may find it disturbing. That's coming up at 6:53 right here on News Radio. WNBF News Time, 6:27.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
ABC Entertainment News.
New to watch this weekend. The Mean Girls are back.
What was that?
Oh Lord, it's the Queen Bee.
Regina George.
The musical version of the 2004 hit comedy drops in theaters this weekend with some updating from writer Tina Fey. It's expected to easily top the MLK Jr. holiday weekend. Other new offerings include the Jason Statham action flick The Beekeeper and The Book of Clarence, a Bible story with a modern twist. Streaming, it's Jake Johnson's dark comedy Self-Reliance on Hulu. The writer, director, and star tells me he came up with the idea about a guy who agrees to be in a dark web game show where he's hunted for his life after watching a popular Japanese game show in the late 90s.
And then when like Survivor came around and you're watching people starve, you know, Billie Eilish has the great line about like, I like watching Survivor to see people suffer. You know, then with like UFC and all this other stuff coming, I'm like, man, culture's changing.
I want to love you.
The upcoming Michael Jackson biopic has a release date April 2025. And Barbie and American Fiction star Issa Rae is 39 today. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Well, happy birthday. And happy birthday to you if you're celebrating today. And since I won't be on the program, I will not be on the program tomorrow and Sunday. I wish you a happy birthday if you're going to be celebrating over the weekend. WNBF News Time, 6:29.
WNBF Binghamton.
Where news breaks first. News Radio 1290 WNBF. Here's Bob Joseph.
Morning, it's 32 in downtown Binghamton at 6:30. Watch out, a wind advisory will be in effect tonight for just a few hours. It's a wind advisory that's scheduled to run for 7 hours starting at 7 tonight till 2 tomorrow morning. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 55. That'll be for all of the Twin Tiers. Southern tier of New York, northern tier of Pennsylvania, gusty winds could blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs might be blown down, and there may be a few power outages. The strongest winds will be in areas of higher terrain and along north and west facing slopes. For today, not bad, partly sunny, 39 for a high. A U.S. official says the military has launched retaliatory strikes against multiple Houthi targets in Yemen. That official said the strikes involve a mix of Tomahawk cruise missiles and fighter jets. This follows months of attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea.
The White House said earlier Thursday that the U.S. will do what it needs to do to counter and defeat the Houthi threats to commercial shipping in the Red Sea. National Security spokesman John Kirby reiterated he would not speculate on or detail any potential future military operations, but again warned
the Houthis need to stop these attacks and that they will bear the consequences for any failure to do so.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
The Biden administration is rolling out another pathway to debt relief for some student loan borrowers. The program targets people who took out less than $12,000 as their initial student loan balance and have been paying it down for a decade. The Education Department will start automatically discharging debts next month for people who qualify and are already enrolled in an income-driven repayment plan that started last year. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona spoke with ABC News.
For those who have borrowed either $12,000 or less, after 10 years, they would be receiving loan forgiveness. But we were going to roll that out in July of this year and eager to do that. But instead, we're going to be rolling it out today. We're really proud of that.
WNBF News Time, 6:32. Federal prosecutors today are going to provide an update in the legal case against a Conklin man who admitted killing 10 black people in a racist shooting at a Buffalo supermarket last year. The Justice Department has called relatives of the victims to federal court this morning ahead of a previously scheduled status conference. The families have been waiting to hear whether prosecutors will seek the death penalty against 20-year-old Peyton Gendron. He's a Susquehanna Valley High School graduate who went to Buffalo nearly a year ago with the intention of killing black people. Demolition crews have now removed a stone chapel building that had stood at a Johnson City cemetery for more than a century. The chapel was located near the entrance of Calvary Cemetery on Harry L. Drive. It was donated by businessman George F. Johnson and his wife. Cemetery operations manager Randy Ramey said it had been more than 25 years since services were held in the chapel. He told WNBF News the structure, which was built in 1923, had fallen into serious disrepair. He said the chapel would have needed a lot of work had it remained in place. He said the necessary repairs probably would have cost nearly $1 million. Cemetery board approved the demolition after it was determined it really wasn't feasible to keep that chapel. The altar, woodwork, and stained glass windows were removed from the building last week. And then on Wednesday, workers from LCP Group started demolition. The items salvaged from the chapel will be repurposed, and Ramey said a respectful tribute to the chapel will be erected at the site where it stood for over a century. WNBF News Time, 6:34. A town justice in Broome County is in the news. He might be kicked out of office for allegedly making inappropriate sexual comments and other serious misconduct. The New York Commission on Judicial Conduct has announced it's determined that Town of Dickinson Judge Randy Hall should be removed. That determination said Hall had sexually harassed another town judge and court staff. He also was said to have given the impression he had prejudged the guilt of defendants and posted inappropriate content on his Facebook page. We spoke with Hall, who lives in Port Dickinson. He told WNBF News a good portion of the allegations against him were bald-faced lies. He said his co-judge and the court clerks fabricated some of the allegations. He described it as a sort of he said, she said situation. The Judicial Conduct Panel found that Hall made crude sexually charged comments to his co-judge and court clerks. Hall had served as a town justice since 2022. His current term expires at the end of next year. He told WNBF News he was simply trying to do a good job for the people of the town of Dickinson. Now he has 30 days to request a review of the commission's recommendation. An attorney for a man accused of fatally shooting a 20-year-old woman who was with some friends who accidentally turned into his driveway called it a terrible accident involving a defective gun. This as arguments in the murder trial began. Kevin Monahan is charged with murder in the death of Kaylin Gillis. She was out with friends who got lost while heading to another person's house on a Saturday night last April. The group's 2 cars and a motorcycle mistakenly turned into Monahan's driveway near the Vermont border. She wound up dead. A man from the state of Maine has pleaded guilty to attempted murder charges, admitting he tried to kill 3 police officers with a machete near New York's Times Square on New Year's Eve just over a year ago. 20-year-old Trevor Bickford of Wells, Maine, entered the plea in Manhattan federal court. He said he was sorry for the attack, which left 3 officers injured. Authorities say he had studied radical Islamic ideology and decided at the time to wage jihad against U.S. officers. Together, the charges carry a potential penalty of up to 120 years in prison. Bickford is set to be scheduled to be sentenced on April 11th. WNBF News Time, 6:37. Wind advisory will be in effect for the region from 7 p.m. today to 2 a.m. tomorrow. Partly sunny today, high 39. Rain and snow tonight, becoming all rain after midnight. There will be some patchy fog, low 35. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, a chance of showers. The temperature will fall to 32 by late in the day. And then Sunday, mostly cloudy, breezy, a chance of snow showers, high 27. Right now it's 32 in downtown Binghamton. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF News.
WNBF.
So it starts recording?
It's 6:40, 20 minutes before 7 with Bob Joseph in for Don Morgan, First News Binghamton. Thank you for joining us. I hope you make First News Binghamton a daily habit. We're here weekday mornings from 3 to 9 with all the news you need, along with weather, traffic bulletins, school information, sports, tech reports, money news, and more. The information you need in an easy-to-digest format with First News Binghamton. We have more information coming up for you later today on Binghamton Now, a live local talk program. I love the show. I've been honored and privileged to be able to host this program now for over 12 years, and I look forward to doing it every day. Every day is a new chapter, new information, and I come in with no talking points. I have some basic ideas, some things we might talk about, but they're not talking points per se. We try to let you know what's going on around the Binghamton area and across the entire region. And we take your calls, we have local guests, and we just see where the program takes us. Every day is unique. And we'll be on today from 10 to noon. It's a 2-hour edition. 2-hour edition of Binghamton Now today. Before today's live local talk program, we'll have an hour of Red Eye Radio. That'll be on from 9 to 10. And just for your edification, then starting Monday, we're back to a full 3 hours during the coming week. All right? We've been doing a 2-hour Binghamton Now format this week due to operational requirements, as in I need coffee. I need coffee between 9 and 10. And then I'm back here in the studio live with you taking your calls. So we appreciate it. Thank you, of course, for listening and calling when you can. Binghamton Now is your program. And we're glad to provide the opportunity for you to find out what's going on around the Twin Tiers. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and streaming at WNBF.com.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
6:45 at WNBF, and it's time for sports. Rhode Island last night, you heard it live on News Radio WNBF with Roger Neal. Led by Sharif Kenny's 24 points, the Bryant Bulldogs defeated the Bearcats 77-69. The Bulldogs are now 10-7 on the season, while the Bearcats fell to 8-6. So there you go. The Binghamton University men will continue their road trip tomorrow, and of course you can hear all the coverage right here on News Radio at WNBF. Roger Neal brings it to you live and local coverage beginning tomorrow at 3:45 from Albany. Also, yesterday, unusual contest, at least unusual time for the women at the Event Center in Vestal. They hosted Bryant on Beyond the Classroom Youth Day with a reported attendance of 3,429 people. That's a pretty big crowd for a Friday at the Event Center, Friday morning. A lot of kids were on hand for that. And the BU women came up short. It was 62-51 in that game at the Event Center. Wow. 3,400, more than 3,400 in attendance at that game. Next up for the women, they call it a throwback game. They'll be hosting Albany at the Event Center, and that game will be heard tomorrow at 1:45 on KISS 104.1 FM. Some baseball news. Marcus Stroman and the Yankees have signed a $37 million two-year contract. The deal is subject to a successful physical. Stroman posted an Instagram story with a photo of himself in a Yankees uniform. The right-hander grew up on Long Island, not too far from Yankee Stadium. Stroman joins a Yankees rotation headed by American League Cy Young Award winner Garrett Cole. That likely will include Clark Schmidt, Carlos Rodon, and Nestor Cortez, coming off injury-plagued seasons. Also in baseball, a familiar face, a familiar name. Pete Alonso and the Mets have avoided salary arbitration by agreeing to a $20.5 million one-year contract. The agreement came on a deadline day around Major League Baseball, when arbitration-eligible players and their teams formally swapped 2024 salary proposals. Taking a look at the scoreboard with some hockey action last night. Buffalo beat Ottawa 5-3. The Islanders topped Toronto in overtime 4-3. Pittsburgh lost to Vancouver in overtime 4-3. Oh, the Rangers were defeated by St. Louis 5-2. Basketball action. Brooklyn was defeated by Cleveland 111-102, and Dallas got past the Knicks 128-124. That's the latest in sports from News Radio WNBF News Time 6:49. Coming up, Money News.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
6:50, time for some money news. World shares are mixed while Tokyo's benchmark extended its New Year rally, trading well above 35,000 and at its highest level since 1990. U.S. futures inching higher. Oil prices surged. China reported its exports and imports edged higher in December, while consumer and wholesale prices slipped. Higher energy and housing prices boosted overall inflation in the United States in December, and that's a sign the Federal Reserve's drive to slow inflation to its 2% target will probably be a bumpy one. Overall prices rose 0.3% from November and 3.4% from 12 months earlier. Federal investigators are looking into Boeing's oversight of production of a panel that blew off a jetliner in mid-flight a week ago. The FAA says the investigation is focusing on door plugs like the one that came off an Alaska Airlines Boeing jetliner over Oregon. The agency said Boeing's manufacturing practices need to meet high safety standards. The plane involved is a Boeing 737 MAX 9. All similar planes operated by Alaska Airlines and United Airlines remain grounded. Tesla said it's temporarily halting most of production at its German factory because of attacks in the Red Sea, a vital global shipping corridor. The electric vehicle maker said its factory near Berlin, which makes Model Y vehicles and batteries, will pause operations from January 29th to February 11th. It says its production is affected because shipping between Europe and Asia is now being forced to go around the Cape of Good Hope. Tesla said the significantly longer transport times create a gap in supply chains. The German factory is Tesla's first in Europe. It opened in 2022 and employs 11,000 people. China reports its exports grew slightly for a second consecutive month in December, even as deflationary pressures continued. The data released today underscored the uneven nature of the country's economic recovery from the pandemic. Exports rose 2.3% in December to about $303 billion. That is a sign that demand may be picking up for Chinese goods after months of decline earlier in the year. And that is the latest business news from News Radio. WNBF News Time, 6:53.
This is just an unbelievable story. Like in the United States, in Canada, tens of millions were victims of porch pirates this past Christmas. But the government is warning citizens to not post Ring and other doorbell videos of the thieves stealing your orders. Wait until you hear why. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by SimpliSafe. Save 20% on a new SimpliSafe system with a Fast Protect plan by visiting simplysafekim.com. Police in the Canadian province of Quebec warned all citizens against posting surveillance video of their packages being stolen because, wait for it, the video could violate the so-called privacy rights of thieves. The police there are worried about the thieves' privacy as they steal your packages from your front porch. Of course, that's Canada, and laws are different here, at least for now, because it won't be long before some crackpot San Francisco, Chicago, or some other high-crime-ridden city in America climbs up on the pro-crime bandwagon, too. Join over 500,000 folks who get TechSmart the easy way with my free newsletter. Sign up right now at getkim.com.
Okay, Kim. I, for some reason, expected a bit more, but it's Friday morning, so Kim decided to leave a minute early. It's an interesting take, though. She's waiting for a pro-crime crackpot to make a proposal in San Francisco. Okie dokie. A pro-crime crackpot. 6:55 at News Radio, WNBF. It's an interesting development, though, on what's going on in Canada. If it's true, and I have no reason to doubt the veracity of that report, if it's true that you can't post video from your Ring camera, I find it interesting and even troubling. Seems to me that I should be able to post any video from my Ring camera. If you're on my property, I'm not sure that you have any privacy rights. That's why we get a Ring camera. Keep an eye on things. That's the whole point. Coming up next hour, if you want more tech news, we can bring you some additional tech news with ABC's Tech Trends. And we'll give you more information of what's going on in the world of technology with Mike Dubosky from ABC. He'll be coming up next hour, 6:56. This is First News Binghamton.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
6:57, ABC News coming up in 3 minutes with the latest national and world developments. Partly sunny today, high 39. Cloudy tonight with rain and snow. It'll be breezy. It'll turn to all rain overnight. Low 35. Mostly cloudy tomorrow. Still breezy. Chance of showers. Temperatures will plunge to 32 by 5 p.m. Outlook for Sunday. Mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers. High 27. Right now in downtown Binghamton, 0 Celsius. It's 32 Fahrenheit. It is freezing here on Court Street in beautiful downtown Binghamton. Wind advisory will be in effect from 7 tonight until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with some gusts up to 55 miles an hour. Those winds could blow down some unsecured objects. So if you still have unsecured objects, even after the winds earlier this week, it would probably be a really good idea to tie them down. As far as the outages, NYSEG has made a lot of progress in restoring power. Right now, NYSEG reports 211 customers without service across its entire service area in upstate New York. That's a big improvement when tens of thousands of people were without power earlier in the week. Right now in Seneca County, 89 people are without electricity. Cayuga County, 47 people. So the repair crews, the line crews and tree crews who were busy over the last 2 or 3 days have made some incredible progress in restoring power. I'm Bob Joseph in for Don Morgan. You're listening to First News Binghamton, WNBF News Time, 6:59.
This is News Radio 1290 AM, WNBF Binghamton. Now on 92.1 FM, W221 EJ Binghamton, a Town Square media station.
Where news breaks first. News Radio 1290 WNBF. Here's Bob Joseph.
Good morning. It'll be partly sunny today, high 39. Things will get interesting tonight with a storm coming into the area. The system late tonight into tomorrow will bring another round of snow changing to rain. Along with strong winds, rainfall may lead to localized flooding. A coastal storm next week could bring snow to the region Tuesday through Wednesday. National Weather Service has issued a wind advisory that'll be in effect from 7 tonight until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 55 miles an hour are expected. The gusty winds could blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs could be blown down and a few power outages are possible. The strongest winds will be in areas of higher terrain and along north and west facing slopes. A town justice in Broome County could be removed from office for allegedly making inappropriate sexual comments and other serious misconduct. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct has just announced that it's determined Randy Hall, a town of Dickinson judge, should be removed. The determination said Hall had sexually harassed another town judge and court staff. He also was said to have given the impression he had prejudged the guilt of defendants and posted inappropriate comment on his public Facebook page. The 68-year-old Hall, who lives in Fort Dickinson, told WNBF News that a good portion of the allegations against him were bald-faced lies. He maintained his co-judge and the court clerks fabricated some of the allegations. He characterized it as a he said, she said situation. Hall said the case was like a witch hunt, similar to what former President Donald Trump has experienced. The Judicial Conduct Panel found that Hall made crude, sexually charged comments to his co-judge and court clerks, including an inappropriate joke involving a farmer, marijuana, and sexual intercourse with a pig. When we asked him about that, Hall denied the accusation. He said, "I don't even know a joke regarding a pig." Hall has served as town justice since 2022. His current term expires at the end of next year. He has 30 days to request a review of the commission's recommendation by the State Court of Appeals. He said he hasn't decided whether he'll accept the decision or seek a review. Demolition crews have removed a stone chapel building donated by businessman George F. Johnson and his wife more than 100 years ago. Chapel is located near the entrance of Calvary Cemetery on Harry L. Drive in Johnson City. Cemetery operations manager Randy Ramey said it'd been more than 25 years since services were held in that chapel. Ramey said the structure, which was built in 1923, had fallen into disrepair. He said the chapel would have needed a significant amount of work if it remained in place. He said the necessary repairs could have cost nearly $1 million. The cemetery board approved the demolition after it determined it really wasn't feasible to keep the chapel. Ramey said the altar, woodwork, and stained glass windows were removed from the building last week. Workers from LCP Group of Vestal also say the cornerstone and the 3 crosses which were on the roof of the chapel, the items salvaged from the chapel, will be repurposed. Ramey said a respectful tribute to the chapel will be erected at the site where it stood for over a century. Federal prosecutors today are expected to provide an update in the legal case against a Conklin man who has admitted killing 10 black people in a racist shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo. The Justice Department has called relatives of the victims to federal court today ahead of a previously scheduled status conference. The families have been waiting to hear whether prosecutors would seek the death penalty against 20-year-old Peyton Gendron. He's been awaiting trial on federal hate crimes and weapons charges. Gendron already is serving multiple life sentences with no chance of parole after pleading guilty to state charges of murder and domestic terrorism motivated by hate. The charges are related to the May 14th, 2022 attack at a Top supermarket in Buffalo. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service. Partly sunny today, high 39. A wind advisory will be in effect for tonight into early tomorrow morning. Winds could gust up to 55 miles an hour. Rain and snow tonight, becoming all rain after midnight. There'll also be some patchy fog, low 35. Cloudy tomorrow, a chance of showers. The temperatures will fall to about 32 by late in the day. The outlook for Sunday, mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers, high 27. And for Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, partly sunny, high 23. Right now, it's 32 in downtown Binghamton at 7:09. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF News.
From the Galt Auto Studios, this is WNBF News Radio AM 1290. Also available at 92.1 FM. Shop Toyota, Chevy, BMW, and pre-owned at galtauto.com.
Good morning, 7-11. If I had a convenience store, that's what time I would open it. People would be like, why don't you open it, say, at 6 in the morning? Or why don't you keep it open 24 hours a day? And I'd say, I don't know. I just sort of would like opening at 7-11. Even though I would probably miss a lot of business. Anyway, in the few seconds I've been talking, it's now 7:12. Good morning. This is Bob Joseph. It's Friday. It's January 12th, 2024. The weekend is now within sight. So that's the good news. The bad news, if there is some bad news, another storm is heading our way with some really gusty winds. Could be some snow. There could be some rain. And who knows? Who knows what to expect next week? People are talking about some sort of potential big storm with a lot of snow next week. Well, could happen. After all, that's what happens around here in winter. So stay tuned to News Radio WNBF. We're here for you. We bring you the good, the bad, and even sometimes the ugly. Do what we have to do to keep you informed. First News Binghamton starts your day Monday through Friday from 6 to 9. Of course, the talk show, Binghamton Now, is on later in the morning. This week, of course, due to operational requirements, the talk show has been condensed, abbreviated. It's only 2 hours this week. We're on from 10 to noon. But never fear, on Monday morning, we'll be back to our traditional 3-hour format. We'll be on from 9 to noon every day next week. That's what we do, because you need information. Also, you need a place that actually answers the phone and lets you talk to your friends and neighbors. That's why we run Binghamton Now for you here on WNBF. 7:13 coming up. Look at sports.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
7:15, it's sports time here at WNBF. College basketball, Sharif Kenny's 24 points helped Bryant defeat Binghamton 77-69 last night in Smithfield, Rhode Island. A game heard live on WNBF with Roger Neal. Kenny shot 6 for 15 and 11 of 15 from the free throw line for the Bulldogs. Earl Timberlake scored 18 points and added 9 rebounds. Daniel Rivera had 12 points and was 6 of 10 shooting and 0 for 3 from the free throw line. Nehemiah Benson led the Bearcats in scoring, finishing with 21 points and 8 rebounds. Binghamton also got 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks from Timo Chinnery. Armin Harried also had 10 points and 8 rebounds. Again, the final last night, Binghamton losing to Bryant 77-69. The Bearcats road trip concludes tomorrow afternoon with a game in Albany. Coverage begins at 3:45 right here on News Radio WNBF. Well, it was a big day and a big crowd at the event center in Vestal for the BU Women Beyond the Classroom Youth Day. And the announced attendance, 3429, so that set a record for the program. Unfortunately, the Bearcat women lost to Bryant 62-51. Binghamton will conclude its 3-game homestand against Albany tomorrow afternoon, and that game will be covered live on KISS 104.1. You'll be able to hear it starting at 1:45 p.m. Taking a look at scores from games last night. Hockey action. Sabres over Ottawa 5-3. Islanders beat Toronto in overtime 4-3. The Rangers lost in overtime 5-2 to Seattle. Wait a second. That's better issue a correction because virtually everything about the last score was erroneous. The Rangers lost to St. Louis 5-2. That was just regulation play. It did not go into overtime. Pete Alonso and the Mets have avoided salary arbitration by agreeing to a $20.5 million one-year contract. And Juan Soto and the Yankees have agreed to a $31 million one-year contract. That is the latest from the high-stakes world of professional baseball at News Radio, WNBF. It could be money news. We'll have money news coming right up from ABC on News Radio, WNBF, 718.
WNBF.
720, Bob Joseph in for Don Morgan on First News Binghamton. Time now for Money News with ABC's Jim Ryan.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. New numbers showing hotter than expected inflation and labor market strength had little effect on stocks Thursday. The Dow Jones rose about 15 points yesterday to close at 37,711, still enough for a new record high. The S&P and NASDAQ composite finished the day essentially flat. Regulators' approval of Bitcoin exchange-traded funds had investors jumping into cryptocurrencies. ETFs saw $4.6 billion worth of business shares trade hands Thursday. Vanguard, the largest mutual fund provider, says it has no plans to make ETFs available to brokerage clients. Some executives, though, expect the items to pave the way for more innovative crypto exchanges like spot ether products. Oil prices rose after Britain and the United States carried out military strikes against targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen yesterday. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 2.4% to $73.75 per barrel. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And we'll bring you more business news throughout the day here on WNBF 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. And remember, we also have business stories online at WNBF.com. I have an interesting story about downtown Binghamton. New business that has opened, and we expect to have that story posted later today at WNBF.com. So for business news and other local and regional news, check out your local news source, WNBF.com. We're reporting for you every day. Original reporting, where news breaks first. 7:22. Coming up in a moment, some political insights from ABC's Richard Cantu.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
Here are your political insights from ABC News. After closing arguments, a New York judge is weighing how much Donald Trump will pay in his business fraud trial.
There were no kind words from former President Trump for New York AG Letitia James and the man that will decide his company's fate, Judge Arthur Ngorin.
She's a political hack, the Attorney General. The judge is obviously extremely friendly with the group.
Calling the New York civil trial against he and his company a witch hunt.
They have no case. It's a shame that a thing like this is able to happen.
But in closing arguments, State Attorney Kevin Wallace saying fraud was central to the operation of the Trump organization's business.
ABC's Dave Packer. Hunter Biden appeared in federal court in Los Angeles on tax charges.
He entered a plea of not guilty to the 9 felony and misdemeanor tax evasion charges he's facing, accused of choosing not to pay taxes to use the money for things like luxury hotels, cars, escorts, and drugs. The Trump-nominated federal judge set a trial date of June 20th.
ABC's Alex Stone. And those are your political insights. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
And it's 7:24 at WNBF and WNBF.com. And we have been reporting on a story involving town justice here in Broome County. And it involves some allegations that were made against Randy Hall. He's a town of Dickinson judge, and he has been serving since 2022. State Commission on Judicial Conduct has recommended he be removed from office for allegedly making some inappropriate sexual comments and some other serious misconduct. We spoke with him after the announcement was made by the commission, and he told us, I've got plenty to say. He said that some of the accusations that were made against him were totally false. At this point, he's not sure what's going to happen, if he will just accept the recommendation by the commission or ask for a review. He's entitled to seek a review within the next 30 days. He noted he was hired during the COVID-19 pandemic. He expressed some frustration about how things went dealing with the district attorney's office and just overall how things were going there in the town of Dickinson. He told us it's like a Peyton Place. He said, I didn't fit in their Peyton Place. And he also noted, at least initially, when he started as the town justice, things were being done virtually, and so he had to get training. He said it was just difficult for him to, especially using some of the technology and the computers and things like that. But he did say his intention was to serve the community, to try to serve the community. He said I just wanted to keep it nice. So we did have a chance to speak with the town of Dickinson Justice Randy Hall. We'll let you know going forward if there are new developments in that case after the State Commission on Judicial Conduct has said he should be removed from office. We have some more details about the story on our website, WNBF News Time. 7:27. Of course, the website's WNBF.com. Coming up, entertainment news.
Why?
Entertainment news.
New to watch this weekend. The Mean Girls are back.
What was that?
Oh Lord, it's the Queen Bee.
Regina George.
The musical version of the 2004 hit comedy drops in theaters this weekend with some updating from writer Tina Fey. It's expected to easily top the MLK Jr. holiday weekend. Other new offerings include the Jason Statham action flick The Beekeeper and The Book of Clarence, a Bible story with a modern twist. Streaming, it's Jake Johnson's dark comedy Self-Reliance on Hulu. The writer, director, and star tells me he came up with the idea about a guy who agrees to be in a dark web game show where he's hunted for his life after watching a popular Japanese game show in the late 90s.
And then when like Survivor came around and you're watching people starve, Billie Eilish has the great line about like, I like watching Survivor to see people suffer. Then with like UFC and all this other stuff coming, I'm like, man, culture's changing.
The upcoming Michael Jackson biopic has a release date April 2025. And Barbie and American Fiction star Issa Rae is 39 today. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Some of the stuff they're making for TV now and streaming services, you just have to wonder, how did we get to this point where some of this stuff actually is passing for entertainment? But that's the way it is. If people will pay for it, they'll make it. First News Binghamton on your Friday morning. I'm Bob Joseph. It's 7:29. We'll have a news update in 30 seconds.
What? WNBF Binghamton.
Where news breaks first. News Radio 1290 WNBF. Here's Bob Joseph.
It's 32 in downtown Binghamton at 7:30. Partly sunny today, high 39. There will be another storm system coming to the Twin Tiers late today and causing some issues throughout the day tomorrow. There will be rain and snow at first, and then it'll turn to all rain after midnight with some patchy fog. Also gets set for more strong winds. The National Weather Service has posted a wind advisory. It's in effect from 7 tonight until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 55 miles an hour across the Twin Tiers. Those winds could blow around unsecured objects. Tree limbs could be blown down, and of course, a few power outages are possible. The strongest winds will be in areas of higher terrain and along north and south facing slopes. WNBF News Time, 7:31. A massive military operation is underway against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels. Pentagon officials say the United States and British military overnight launched retaliatory strikes against dozens of targets in Yemen following months of attacks by the militants on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. ABC's chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, has the latest.
A wave of Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from a U.S. submarine and Navy ships backed by fighter jets. The target, the Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen that have been attacking commercial ships in the critical Red Sea for months now. The Pentagon confirming the strikes, backed by 4 U.S. allies, hit over 60 targets and 16 locations, destroying weapons, radar and surveillance systems, and unmanned vehicles.
A tumultuous final day in Donald Trump's New York City civil fraud trial as the former president defied the judge and gave his own unsanctioned closing argument, calling himself an innocent man, and the trial a witch hunt. ABC's Peter Haralambous was there.
Trump has increasingly made this ongoing courtroom drama part of his campaign. He's complained that he's being muzzled in the case. He's complained about the gag order in the case. He's complained about the bias of the judge in the case. And in this case, he was able to walk in there and do exactly what the judge told him he couldn't. He brought the drama, and if anything, he kind of stole the life from the room. And coming back to kind of how this was going to impact the case, he walks away with minimal harm, if anything. So in Trump's eyes, perhaps it's a win.
WNBF News Time, 7:33. Federal prosecutors today will provide an update on the legal case against 20-year-old Peyton Gendron, man from Conklin, who admitted to killing 10 black people in a racist shooting at a top supermarket in Buffalo. The Justice Department has called relatives of the victims to court ahead of a previously scheduled status conference. Families have been waiting to hear whether prosecutors will seek the death penalty against Gendron, who is a Susquehanna Valley High School graduate. He's awaiting trial on federal hate crimes and weapons charges. He's already serving multiple life sentences with no chance of parole after pleading guilty to state charges of murder and domestic terrorism motivated by hate. Demolition crews have now removed a stone chapel building that was donated by businessman George F. Johnson and his wife more than 100 years ago. The chapel was located near the entrance of Calvary Cemetery on Harry L. Drive in Johnson City. Cemetery operations manager Randy Ramey said it had been more than 25 years since services were held in the chapel. Ramey said the structure was built in 1923. It had fallen into disrepair. He said it would have needed a significant amount of work if it was going to remain in place. He said the necessary repairs could have cost nearly $1 million. The cemetery board approved the demolition after it determined it wasn't feasible to keep the chapel. We have more details about the story, including some pictures, both of what's happened now at the chapel site, and also some photos from last May of what the chapel looked like. Those photos are posted on our website, WNBF.com. Town of Dickinson Judge Randy Hall should be removed from office for allegedly making inappropriate sexual comments and other serious misconduct. That's according to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. They announced their determination on Thursday. They said Hall had sexually harassed another town judge and court staff. He also was said to have given the impression he had prejudged the guilt of defendants and posted inappropriate content on his Facebook page. Hall, who lives in Fort Dickinson, told WNBF News a good portion of the allegations were bald-faced lies. The Judicial Conduct Panel found that Hall had made some crude comments to a co-judge and court clerks, among other things. Hall has served as a town justice since 2022. His current term expires at the end of next year. Hall has 30 days to request a review of the commission's recommendation by the State Court of Appeals. He said he hasn't decided whether he'll accept the decision or seek a review. WNBF News Time, 7:36. National Weather Service has posted a wind advisory for the Twin Tiers in effect from 7 p.m. today to 2 a.m. tomorrow. Southeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts up to 55 miles an hour are expected. Those winds could blow around unsecured stuff. Tree limbs might be blown down, and there probably will be a few power outages. Here's the full forecast. Partly sunny today, high 39. Cloudy tonight, rain and snow becoming all rain after midnight. There'll be some patchy fog, low 35. It'll also be windy. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers early in the day. Temperature will fall to 32 by late in the day. For Sunday, mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers, high 27. And for Monday, the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, partly sunny, high 23. Right now, it's 32 in downtown Binghamton at 7:37. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF News.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
At 7:39, or if you prefer, 21 before the hour, WNBF with Bob Joseph. In for Don Morgan, this is First News Binghamton. A little guidance regarding today's schedule here at News Radio WNBF. We will continue with the news and information here on First News Binghamton until 9. That's my plan. So for another hour and 20 minutes, We'll continue with the information that you need, the information you've come to expect. Then from 9 to 10, Gary McNamara and Eric Harley from Red Eye Radio will be on for 1 hour. And then our live local talk show, Binghamton Now, will be on from 10 to noon. And we have just arranged to have a weather update with Dave Nicosia from the National Weather Service. And that will be at 10:30. So if you have desire to learn even more about the new storm system that's going to be coming through the area tonight and early tomorrow, Dave Nicosia from the National Weather Service will be on at 10:30 on Binghamton Now. And you can bet, I'm going to ask him, what about this possible nor'easter that could happen next week? Heard some reports that some heavy snow will be possible on Tuesday and into Wednesday. So we'll find out the latest weather forecast information. That'll be live at 10:30. Of course, during Binghamton Now, we'll also encourage you to call. And if you want to talk about the weather, some people are making assertions that the weather machine is broken. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. So you can talk about weather or politics or infrastructure, whatever's on your mind today here on News Radio WNBF. It's 7:42. Coming up, we'll bring you sports, let you know how the hockey and basketball teams did, including Binghamton University men's and women's basketball teams. That'll be about 3 minutes. We'll have a sports update. Also, more money news at 7:50, and at about 7:53, tech trends from ABC. And Mike Dabosky will have more about that newly unveiled transparent TV. Is that something you will need? I think it's something I will want. I certainly don't need it, but I would like to have a transparent TV. But my guess is, at least initially, the first models of the transparent TV from LG are going to cost a lot of money. So I probably won't be getting a transparent TV in the next few months. But Mike Dabosky will have all the details about that new product that's just been introduced at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And his report will be about 10 minutes from now. WNBF News Time, 7:43.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Ski season is gearing up. Whether you're a city dweller or a nature lover, beginner or pro, New York State has a ski area perfect for you. New York boasts some of the most picturesque landscapes in the Northeast, with diverse terrain for skiers of all levels, from gentle slopes for beginners to challenging trails for advanced skiers. You'll find some of the most affordable skiing in the region right here in New York. And with more than 50 ski centers spanning the state, there's a ski area just a short drive away. Combine that with New York's other great seasonal attractions and activities, and you've crafted the perfect winter escape. To learn more about New York State ski areas and winter getaways, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. Download the I Love New York app or dial 1-800-CALL-NYS. It's easy to love New York.
Every child deserves to be fed. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
$7:45. Let's take a look at sports, shall we? Led by Sharif Kenny's 24 points, Bryant defeated Binghamton 77-69 in Smithfield, Rhode Island last night. The game was heard here live on WNBF with Roger Neal. Kenny shot 6 for 15 And 11 of 15 from the free throw line for the Bulldogs. Earl Timberlake scored 18 points and added 9 rebounds. Daniel Rivera had 12 points and was 6 of 10 shooting from the 0 for 3 from the free throw line. Nehemiah Benson led the Bearcats in scoring, finishing with 21 points and 8 rebounds. And the Bearcats will be back in action tomorrow. They will finish up their 2-game road trip in Albany, and WNBF coverage will start at 3:45. Women's basketball in a rather unusual day game at the Event Center in Vestal. The women were defeated by Bryant 62-51. It was a youth day game, beyond the classroom youth day. First time they've tried that. My guess is they'll probably make it a tradition. Had a lot of people, including a lot of school kids in attendance. They said the attendance was a record for the program, 3,429. Binghamton women will conclude their 3-game homestand against Albany tomorrow, with coverage beginning at 1:45 p.m. on KISS 104.1. Sad news in the baseball world. Bud Harrelson, the scrappy and sure-handed shortstop who fought Pete Rose on the field during a playoff game and helped the Mets win an astonishing championship, has died. He was 79. The Mets organization announced that Harrelson died at a hospice house in East Northport after a long battle with Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed in 2016 and publicly shared his struggle 2 years later, hoping he and his family could help others afflicted. Throughout his health ordeal, Harrelson stayed involved with his professional pride and joy. He was part owner of the Long Island Ducks, an independent minor league team located just minutes from his home. Taking a look at some scores from NBA play last night, the Nets lost to Cleveland 111-102. Knicks were defeated by Dallas 128-124. Hockey action in Buffalo, the Sabres got past the Senators 5-3. Islanders topped Toronto in overtime 4-3, and the Rangers lost to St. Louis 5-2. By the way, Pittsburgh lost to Vancouver in overtime 4-3. That's the latest in sports from News Radio, WNBF News Time, 7:48. Coming up, Money News.
Bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
News Radio 1290 WNBF.
Good morning. It's 7:50. Time for some money news. Higher energy and housing prices boost overall U.S. inflation for the month of December. That's a sign that the Federal Reserve's drive to slow inflation to its 2% target will probably continue to be a bumpy one. Overall prices rose 0.3 of a percentage point from November and 3.4% from 12 months earlier. Excluding food and energy costs, though, so-called core prices rose just 0.3% month over month. Core prices were up 3.9% from a year earlier. That is the mildest pace since May 2021. Nearly a dozen new Bitcoin funds began trading in U.S. markets for the first time Thursday, providing increased access to the cryptocurrency for everyday investors. ETFs give investors a way to get in on trading in oil, gold, corporate bonds, and now Bitcoin without actually having to own a barrel of oil, a bar of gold, or an actual Bitcoin. It means you don't have to find a place to store them. These funds closely track the price of Bitcoin and provide an entry for smaller investors into the wide world of cryptocurrency. Federal officials are investigating Boeing's oversight of production of a panel that blew off a jetliner in mid-flight last Friday. The FAA says the investigation now is focusing on door plugs like the one that came off an Alaska Airlines Boeing jetliner over Oregon. The agency said Boeing's manufacturing practices need to meet higher safety standards. The plane involved is a Boeing 737 MAX 9. All similar planes operated by Alaska Airlines and United Airlines remain grounded, so that's causing some scheduling problems for many people who were planning to fly over the last few days, and some people who are planning to fly this weekend. They're going to learn that their flights are canceled. A lot of chaos in the aviation industry, especially for Alaska Airlines and United. Trading today around the world, shares are mixed while Tokyo's benchmark extended its New Year rally, trading well above 35,000. That's its highest level since 1990. U.S. futures inched higher. Oil prices surged. China reported its exports and imports edged higher in December, while consumer and wholesale prices slipped. That is the latest from the world of business here on News Radio. WNBF News Time. 7:53. It's time now for Tech Trends. Here's Mike Dabowski.
From ABC News Tech Trends, LG used CES to show off a new TV that's designed to blend into the background.
The TV no longer has to dominate the room.
The LG signature OLED T is a 77-inch panel that's completely see-through. Digital Trends' Caleb Dennison.
Folks don't necessarily want their TV looking like a big black rectangle in their room when it's not being watched.
For when you actually want to watch TV,
they set up the device so that it rolls a black film up behind the transparent display, and as soon as they do that, it looks just like a regular OLED TV.
It's the latest in a line of TVs that do away with the tech aesthetic. Samsung's The Frame is designed to look like a painting when it's turned off. LG, meanwhile, plans to put the OLED T on sale before the end of the year, though no pricing has been announced.
I do think it will have a fairly shocking sticker price.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dabowski, ABC News.
I think he's right. I'm sure the sticker price will be fairly shocking. In fact, when they do announce the sticker price, it might be truly shocking. Not sure how many people listening at the moment are going to be able to afford one of those transparent TVs. Yeah, a lot of people will want one, but very few people are going to buy them, at least initially. Of course, as you know, with technology, prices start out high, and maybe a year or two from now, those prices actually will be quite affordable. That's the way it usually works. Coming up next hour at about 8:53, we plan to bring you Kim Commando. Today, she has an interesting tidbit about what's going on in Canada. Sometimes people set up their Ring doorbell cameras so they can capture porch pirates in the act. But now, strangely, in Canada, people are being advised not to post the video from their Ring cameras online. And I'm sure you've seen some of those videos. People grab a 20, 30-second segment from their Ring doorbell camera and say, I'm going to post this online because that guy stole my stuff, and I think it's worth posting online. Well, now, according to the Canadian government, you're not supposed to do that because it might violate the privacy of the porch pirate. Kim Commando will talk more about that next hour here on First News Binghamton. WNBF News Time, 7:56.
Over 60 and retired? Making ends meet, especially at the supermarket, is tough. BenefitsCheckup.org is a free website that helps you pay for food, medicine, even utilities. Visit BenefitsCheckup.org.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small
your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
WNBF.
7:57 at WNBF and WNBF.com. Weather, yes, it's, as they say, an active weather pattern right now. Things were fairly calm for the first couple of weeks of winter, and now things have picked up in the wide world of weather. Today, not bad, partly sunny with a high of 39. Tonight, not so good. Rain and snow becoming all rain after midnight. Patchy fog, low 35. Be windy. Winds could gust as high as 50 miles an hour in some places. It is nice, though. Little or no snow accumulation expected overnight or tomorrow. Forecast for tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, primarily in the morning. Then temperatures are going to plunge to about 32 by late in the day. It'll be breezy. Outlook for Sunday, mostly cloudy with a chance of snow showers, and Sunday's high 27. Wind advisory will be in effect from 7 this evening till 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Winds will be out of the southeast, 25 to 35. Those winds could blow down or blow around unsecured objects and even blow down tree limbs, and be prepared for the possibility of additional power outages. And this, just as NYSEG crews have pretty much restored power that was disrupted by the storms earlier this week. Right now it's 30 in downtown Binghamton at News Radio. WNBF News Time, 7:59.
This is News Radio 1290 AM, WNBF Binghamton. Now on 92.1 FM, W221 EJ Binghamton, a Town Square Media.